Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the NRG Series 10K Pioneer event. My name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as the Will Hall EXP, and I am joined by none other than 6'2", the man himself, Mason Clark, and we're bringing you round number 9, the last round. We'll finally find out who is going to be in that top 8. 227 players started this weekend, but there can only be 8 of them battling it out to find out who's going to walk away with the title of champion today. But starting off, we're going to be on a classic. Rakdos Sacrifice versus Izzet Phoenix. We've got Chris on the left, Russell on the right. Mason, how does this matchup normally play out?
So this is typically a tough one for Rakdos Sacrifice. That deck really good normally against creature decks, but that's because Cat Oven on the ground plus Mayhem Devil means that the creatures can't really ever attack or stick around. Phoenix subverts both of those things by flying and being recursive. Plus, the Phoenix deck has a lot of very good card advantage things and ways to break up the synergy. So we're seeing here pieces of the puzzle get taken. That way, Treasure Cruise cannot be used as easily. These are just ways to go way over the top of the Rakdos Sacrifice deck.
Are you telling me 1 blue manaless, draw 3 cards is good in Magic the Gathering?
It's very nice.
It's very nice indeed. Okay, Thoughtseize number 2 going to come down here for Chris. Going to get a little look at that hand, see what did you draw. Russell's son, do I want to do anything in response? Probably not. But what do I know? Looks like we're going to be opting in response. Have a little scryzy, put that to the bottom, get a fresh draw. And if it's any good, we can take that. It would look like it was another op, so...
Yeah.
did he point at the Phoenix?
Well, yeah, he was pointing at the new cards. I think, to be fair, but it also doubles as a subliminal take my Phoenix.
It's a bold shout card, and let's see if it pays off for him. And then for 1 red mana, here comes not the most powerful cards in the deck in this matchup, but an Unlucky Witness.
Yeah,
second land.
Good role player card. You just have things you want to sacrifice. Some players aren't in love with it, but just a great way to kind of assemble your A plus B miscellaneous combos.
Chris getting in there for the point of damage. Has a few options in hand. I do see another land, do see a cat, do see a Bloodtithe Harvester, and I think that's where we're going to start off here. This card does a lot, right? For 2 mana in Pioneer, it can get rid of your bad cards, draw you some good cards. It can kill creatures, and it can also have a bit of a clock, being a free 2 body for 2.
Just all around solid role player card. Bloodtithe Harvester has been sort of a standard and Pioneer mainstay since its release, just because, like you said, get a lot for a little.
Okay, end of turn. Opt. Do we like that one? Remember, each of these cards, every time they go to the graveyard, they're going to make that Treasure Cruise in hand cost 1 less, which is really good when your opponent's trying to 1-for-1 you, when you can draw 3 more. Impulse. Going to get rid of that Bloodtithe. Spell Mastery is on, so it's going to be 3 damage. Not that it matters too much. Chris just making sure that was the target.
Yeah, there are some weird stuff where I think it's until the end of your next turn on Witness, so you could kill it in main phase 2 and strand the cards. But no land for Russell. He whiffed on all those ops.
No third land, which is crucial because we are 1 turn away from that Treasure Cruise because it is going to cast 8. No point coming across. Here comes the pesky little cat, the Cauldron Familiar itself. And ETB drains and gains 1 life point. There's the third land that we didn't have last turn for Russell. And here is a piece of the puzzle. It talks about this card and how powerful it is in this deck.
Yeah, so piece of the puzzle is really, once again, kind of like a glue enabler card. You reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You take 2 instant or sorceries, put them in your hand, the rest go to the graveyard. Unironically, this card's very similar to Dark Ritual plus Divination, where, and look at this case, we have 4 options to choose. Oh my goodness, so many powerful cards. Temporal Trespass is definitely one that is a little bit of sticking out to me, but isn't inherently obviously the best pick, as we are going to take Consider Lightning Axe. But this sort of card puts 2 cards in your hand and then puts 3 new cards in the graveyard, which you can then use to delve and cast your Treasure Cruises. And, the card itself goes to the yard, so that's another piece of material. And if you find Arclight Phoenix like Russell just did, now your multi-turn spells are actually having these huge payoffs.
Here's a Deadly Dispute end of turn. That means that, we can sacrifice the treasure that's on the battlefield, or the token that's on the battlefield. Sorry, it creates a treasure, but we also get 2 more cards to our hand, which is what we need, especially when our opponent is potentially playing something like a Treasure Cruise next turn. I want you to talk to me about this Temporal Trespass. Sometimes Phoenix X players, sometimes they don't. It's kind of flavor. The most someone likes the combo type of big hit finish. The other just want to value more cantrips. Where do you sit on that fence?
Yeah, I think you nail it perfectly on where the two spots are. And I kind of value the big finish. So I played a lot of Phoenix, qualified for the Pro Tour last year, playing Phoenix in Atlanta. And one of the things that I love about that deck is that the Temporal Trespass plus Galvanic Iteration gives you an oops, I win button no matter how bad or how bad of a matchup is going on, right? If things are going poorly, well, I take 2 turns in a row, I can get some Phoenixes, maybe I can kill you. Same thing, in your good matchups, now suddenly you have a way to slam the door, not let someone get out from underneath you. So it isn't always the best card, and it needs a little bit of help to be a great card. But when you have so many cantrips, Will, it's very easy to get the first copy in your deck. Now, lots of players choose to play 2, but you can very easily play 1, and we see people do that as a way to have this sort of, oops, I win. And with your sleight of hands, ops, etc., you find them. And if you mill over it, whatever, it's not the end of the world. It's not like you have to have that card to be able to win with Phoenix.
Okay, we're going to see Treasure Crucible now for 1 mana, leaving Phoenix in the graveyard and another pieces of the puzzle. How important is it to, when you're delving away these cards, it's still, your graveyard still is relevant in what cards you leave in there, right?
Yeah, Spell Mastery for the Fiery Impulse is a big one. That goes from 2 to 3 damage on that. Notable with things like Mayhem Devil out of Chris Andersen's Rakdos Sacrifice deck here. Plus, just in the future, you might want to delve more things. There's the Arclight Phoenixes you want to leave behind. So there's a lot of small things going on. In fact, sometimes it's better for you to maybe spend 2 mana now on a Treasure Cruise and delve 1 less card, so that next turn you can delve even more, right? Or set up something like a Temporal Trespass. There are 2 Phoenixes there. Yeah, one just got stuck on the other card there. But yeah, that's going to be 6 damage. And you're seeing now why this matchup's so tough, right? Russell can sort of interact with Chris. Chris can't super interact well with Russell. And yeah, we have removal for these creatures, but it isn't the end of the world. And so we see Russell just be like, yeah, I got this main deck Spell Pierce.
I was about to say Spell Pierce check. Okay.
Yeah.
You got it. So Fable the Mirror Breaker is going to go up to 2. That means we can discard to draw up to that many. Chris deciding what he wants to get rid of here. Looks like it is going to be the full whack. Nope, put him back in his hand. Having a little think here. But, Russell on the left, you're seeing proper in the driver's seat now. 2 fresh cards for Chris. 2 land. Has a little shake of that. It's like, yeah, these are great. This is exactly what I need right now. Means I can animate this Eye of the Hive Tyrant.
Yeah, and that's going to get in 3 damage. We are in a racing situation, one that Chris is not going to be able to win currently, but, might come up later. Chris gets to eat 1 card from the graveyard. Doesn't super matter. Just more matters for delving at this point. So 1 less card. Now, Russell has 5 cards, so we're still going to get a very much discounted Treasure Cruise, but not so much that, it's free.
So, earlier on in the broadcast with yourself and Devon, you were talking about cantrips, and it's kind of a bit of a trigger word for you, but I'm not entirely sure why. But I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into that. What have you got against cantrips?
You open up one time about something, and then your friends never let it go. So, so basically, it's less that I don't even like. I just find them not very exciting because of this right here. It's really engaging for Russell. It's a very fun gameplay experience. But as a commentator, it's very hard for me to actually commentate on the action because all the information is hidden. Now, it's worse with cards like Brainstorm and Ponder than it is with cards like Sleight of Hand, but I couldn't even see those cards. So right now I'm going to tell you some jibbly gobbly timey-wimey stuff. Like Russell's trying to sculpt his hand to have a certain outcome of cards and cover all the bases Chris could potentially bring as we look to be hard casting an Arclight Phoenix here and just an attack for 9, putting Chris to 2, making it very unlikely for him to actually close the door on this next turn. And that's sort of, why I don't like cantrips. It's very hard to call the action.
Is that why we don't see you commentating on Lotus too much? That is one of the decks I think is just horrendous to try and commentate on. It's like, stuff is happening, and I'll tell you when the game is over. Just like now, where we're going to shock in this Blood Crypt, doing the last 2 points damage to ourselves. Chris scooping them up, going to go to a game number 2. But we do have sideboard to both of these matchups. But we're going to move back to us, just while we kind of set that up. So maybe you've just joined in. If you've just joined in, welcome. Where have you been all day? It is round number 9. There is 9 rounds of Pioneers today. So next up after this is going to be our top 8. We're going to find out which 8 players are going to be battling out to walk away with all the points, all the money, because remember, it is a 10K as well, so big chunks of money on the line. More importantly, that invite to get to that end-of-year tournament, the Player of the Year, Championships, Playoffs, 16 players, 25K. Sign me up all day long. Mason, you've obviously been watching it throughout the year, all the players battling out. Is there any highlight moments that are sticking out in your head? Because I've got one from the last time that I was commentating, and all I've got to say to you is Siren Sanity. That card, that one. Oh.
Sire and Sandy, turn 1. That one holds a special place in my heart. That's actually now my neighbor and good friend Garrison fought. Whoa. He was the one playing against that in the moment. So I was in chat spamming, let's go, draw a land, draw a shadow, win. And that was an awesome moment for sure. And that one has a special place in my heart. We now have a deck list, so we can pull those up here. But real quick, Steven Dykeman winning back-to-back. That one sticks out to me. I think that's the first time in NRG history that's ever happened. And in other circuits, it's only happened one other time from a great player called Jerry Thompson. Maybe you heard of him.
I've heard of it once or twice, done a few things in the game, I hear. Okay, here is the sideboard coming up for you on your screen, starting off on the Rakdos side. Obviously, we've got Jegantha, but we also have a Kroxa, Unlicensed Hearse, Damping Sphere, Duress, Furnace, Ruins, a Go Blank, Collins Command, and Rending Volley. Any of these take your fancy?
Yeah, so Unlicensed Hearse is pretty good in this matchup. It is not as backbreaking as Go Blank is. So Go Blank is the card that black decks go to beat Phoenix. There's two big reasons for that. One, it answers the graveyard. And the second is it makes you discard cards from hand. Those are sort of the two most important zones for the Phoenix deck. And from a play pattern perspective, what did we say was one of the best cards in their deck, Will? We said it was Pieces of the Puzzle. Draws 2 cards, puts a bunch of cards in the graveyard. If you spend your turn doing that, and then I spend the next turn Go Blanking you, I've undone your turn and all that previous graveyard work you did. So very powerful card in this matchup. Those are the 2 cards I'm slamming. I'm definitely interested in things like Duress as well. We have a bunch of cards that aren't very good in our deck here. Fatal Push is like fine, but it's not super great. You kind of want to leave some Claim the Firstborns in for things like Ledger Shredder, but you could trim on those if you wanted to. I'm personally not a fan of doing that, but it's a reasonable play. And then you just have, things like Unlucky Witness are fine, but they're not really going to get interacted with. And some Phoenix decks even have Spikefield Hazard, which can exile it. So not the greatest place in the world to be. This matchup's tough for Chris, but he has a couple tools that are very good. And if he can draw those, he can easily win the game.
Okay, let's move across quickly to see what Russell's got in his deck. Give me a quick fire of what you read here. A Braid. We've got a Surgery. We've got Treasure Cruise. We've got Brotherhood's End. We've got Crackling Drakes, Disdainful Strokes, Thing in the Ice, Sahili, and Mystical Dispute. What would you like bringing out of this?
So Brotherhood's End, great against all the Rakdos builds currently in Pioneer. Both wipes the board, but against this deck, the artifact mode matters as well. Same thing with a Braid. Kills a creature or kills one of the pesky artifacts like Unlicensed Hearse, for an example. Crackling Drake is something I really like. We just talked about 2 big cards from the sideboard of the Rakdos deck that exile our graveyard. Crackling Drake is a way to fight through that and get a little extra oomph. You can also bring in Treasure Cruise. We see players cut things like Temporal Trespass in this matchup as is a little lacking. We're down to the future match area with the mulligans finished. We did it. Boom, boom, turbo sideboard.
Turbo sideboard. And that even has its own sort of sound bite as well. Boom, boom, boom. Love to see it. Chris, can I have a little look at his opening 7? I believe he is on a mole currently. We just, as we're tuning in, does he want to pick one of these back to the bottom, or do we want to go see if we can find a better 5-card hand? He's having a little talk for it to himself, and he says, this isn't it. This is not good enough to beat your deck, so throws it back again. Russ on the other side, quite content, quite happy with his 7. With the shuffling technique and the fancy sleeves there. Have you got any sleeves of choice that that you like picking up, or a certain color maybe?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm open to sponsorships opportunities, brands out there. But no, jokes aside, I really like the Dragon Shield Blacks. It's typically my go-to. A tried and true.
Tried and true. They do what they say on the tin. They protect your cards, and that's exactly what you need to happen here. Are they going to give you the perfect opening 7? Only time will tell. Is it going to work for Chris to get a good keepable 5 here? Let's have a little look. I can see lands, I can see spells, and I can see a nod of the head here from Chris. Are we going to hit Den of the Bugbear to the bottom and a oven, or is it Thoughtseize and oven are going to go to the bottom? And remember, on the play. So I think that's an Unlicensed Hearse. I think that's why we got that little head shake keep that he was happy about. 2 land and Hearse might be able to get him across the finish line. Russell on the other side. As you said, it does have access to ways to destroy all this. It does have things like a Braid and Brotherhood's End if they came in out of the sideboard. But we're just going to pass the turn by taking 2 points of damage off this Steam Vent. And here comes Cap. Mini combo, do you call this?
Yeah, this is a light Splinter Twin, kind of like Diet Coke,
A Diet Coke Splinter Twin. Get that on a t-shirt. Love to see it. Okay, Phoenix straight to the graveyard along with from this Consider. We're gonna get.
Was that a little combo?
I'll take that as a combo. Don't think we can get out of the graveyard this turn though. So in Fortunately, potentially Unlicensed Hearse next turn might have something to say about that. We're not even going to go through the motion. Just tap this, point at this. You're going to drain a game 1 life. That's going to be that. Thank you. And then Spike Field it.
Oh, that is going to exile it. So now that cat is gone. Looks like Chris Andersen was maybe trying to work through some stuff there, but has 2 artifacts now if he plays this Unlicensed Hearse and has to worry about Spell Pierce. Some players like to leave it in, some don't. It really depends on your approach. And I kind of like Chris just waiting. If you think he has a Spell Pierce, can't play too many of them. Your hand's a land Hearse. It's not like the Arclight Phoenix is going to super duper come back next turn, especially if your opponent has Spell Pierce. And you might think it's Fable the Mirror Breaker while they're waiting there. So Russell maybe brings it back this turn, but yeah, probably just does something like this. And now you can punish all these Arclight Phoenixes, as we are going to have 2 in the graveyard, and Unlicensed Hearse is going to come down.
That is going to be really good for Chris. It's going to be exactly what he needs on this mold of 5, especially after getting it out. But unfortunately, Treasure Cruise is one of those cards, and we won't be able to empty it to the graveyard that much, so that won't be a relevant card unless we draw something like a Go Blank here off the top. Here comes the land, 2 mana. It was a Fable drawn, but here comes the Hearse. Get rid of both of the Phoenixes, but we know that's not the only way to win, right?
Yeah, we have Crackling Drake. Also, we have Hall of the Storm Giants in play. So, these players are going to put it under here just to make it easier to track what is exiled there. It doesn't really matter, but it matters enough. With Hall of the Storm Giants, we also maybe brought in Crackling Drake. We talked to Russell Lee in round number 2 when he won his feature match. Someone who's done very well at various circuits throughout the United States here, and talked about how he hasn't played much Pioneer in the last 6 months, but that's the great part of this Phoenix deck, Will, is if you have strong Magic fundamentals, you can get really far playing it. So Lee probably knows about Crackling Drake in this matchup. And I want to also point out Chris Andersen, great job on that turn, holding and playing around Spell Pierce and waiting to get them with the Phoenix. Really works out. Now the Brotherhood's End is probably going to clean up on the next turn, but still got 2 of those Phoenixes gone for the entire game.
Yeah, it means, one less problem to have to solve. But this on the other side is just turning and burning. We're going through our deck. We're drawing cards. We're finding, as you said, sculpting the hand that we need, which with your opponent's mold down to 5 is going to be really, really hard to get back from. But player of Chris's caliber, it's not going to be out of the ordinary that he can do something like that. Land for turn, and that's a lot of cards in hand. Are we discarding? I think we've already played a land, so
yep. Oopsie poopsie, as we call it in the business.
I don't know what business that is, but sure, I'll take it.
It's commentary. Have you heard of it?
I don't believe I've ever said those words out loud, anyway, at least. But here comes a couple of removal spells going in the graveyard. Don't need them because we know there's a Brotherhood's End in hand, and that'll be able to deal with everything on the battlefield currently. As it goes to the graveyard, that is a flex right there. Chris had a little smile to himself, just like, oh no, that's really going to be bad for me.
So that tells me a couple things. One, I think Russell Lee only has 1 land in hand. I think it's that 1 Steam Dance we accidentally played. Otherwise, we would probably discard a land. 2, our hand is very good. We just discarded one of our best sideboard cards. So if you're Chris Andersen, your opponent has a strong hand, you're going to need them to fade for a couple turns and things to work out if you're going to get out of this.
I think we've got another one, and that's what we're going to see here. Yeah. Brotherhood's End's going to come down. It's going to go and deal with artifacts across CMC 2 or less. 3 or less. And they're going to go to the graveyard. So one thing I was saying, maybe not played a lot of Pioneer recently, but able to pick up this Phoenix deck because it's had an uptick in popularity, right? Because of a new card that was printed in the latest set.
Sleight of Hand was a big get for this deck. Basically just gives you better cantrips for actually finding and chaining off in a turn and makes you able to actually sort of play your game plan. So we are going to see Lightning Axe discarding Arclight Phoenix to kill the Goblin Shaman token. And we're going to Fatal Push the Arclight Phoenix. But yeah, that was a sort of big get for this deck. And, you would think, well, is the 9th through 12th cantrip actually mattering that much? And it's much more that it's an opt upgrade. And it does matter to have a little bit more. Now you consistently find your sideboard cards.
I was that was actually going to be my next question to you, because you say you've played a lot of this Phoenix deck, and when Sleight of Hand was printed, a lot of people were like, oh, it's sorcery speed, it's not as good as opt and considering these decks. They kind of when you see blue and red, everyone kind of thinks it's like that instant speed end of turn type style of play. But now everyone's playing Sleight of Hand, and everyone's like, of course we play Sleight of Hand. Where were you on the fence when this got printed?
My big thing was sleight of hand is worse with Thing in the Ice. That's like the one thing where, like, if you like playing Thing in the Ice, Opt's a little bit better because it gives you another instant speed way to trigger it for 1 mana, right? Which is sort of a big thing. However, Thing in the Ice is fine, but not a super needed card, especially in your main deck. So moving away from it was a very reasonable approach for these decks. And Sleight of Hand just lets you have more, hey, I have 3 mana, I can bring back my Arclight Phoenixes, where before it was kind of hard without 4 mana. You just didn't have enough 1 mana spells to play if you didn't have a kill spell for a creature. So it just helps in some of your more uninteractive matchups. And my sort of thoughts were, well, Sleight of Hand lets me find my sideboard cards more often. That I'm pretty happy with, especially if I don't have Thing in the Ice in my deck.
Here comes a Saheeli, followed up with a removal spell, giving us a 1/1 servo. So talk to me about Saheeli. We don't see it too much. You see it in a lot of sideboards because it can have a very big impact. Why do we bring this out of our sideboard in this matchup?
Yeah, probably thought that Chris Andersen, we talked about having cards like Go Blink, Unlicensed Hearse, probably expected something along those lines. Leyline of the Void also isn't the most unreasonable card. Our opponent had Jegantha, but it's not unheard of to play Leyline. So this is a way to actually fight around that graveyard hate, right? Well, maybe you're still doing all those things, but I can make all these artifact tokens and sort of overwhelm you. So we've seen Russell turn to this card a couple times today as an answer to those sort of graveyard hate cards, sort of his go-to pivot for the choice.
You'll see everybody watching at home that both of these players are 6-2. We believe the winner of this will be able to squeak themselves into that top 8 at the minute. It looks very good for Russell on the right of the screen. But Chris, he's going to fight this out. This is what his deck does. We are a grindy matchup. We're going to try and get there, get ourselves across the line. But it's going to be an uphill battle throughout, especially while our opponent is drawing so many cards on the other side and has an active Saheeli along with a Arclight Phoenix.
Yeah, this is a spot where, Chris has a good amount of life. We don't have a ton of pressure. We need to have answers for this reflection in this Bloodtithe Harvester. We found Galvanic Iteration, so now we can actually turn 1 kill spell into 2 and then use that later as a way to flash Temporal Trespass and take over the game, like we talked about before, or just, flash it back to be another second kill spell if you need to be. A very flexible card when we have the mana.
Oh, it's pretty rough. So it's going to copy this Fire Impulse, get rid of both of them out of here. Don't want you to have any of this, but remember, every spell we cast, we do generate a 1/1 servo as well. These are going to start adding up and closing the game down themselves as 4 damage potentially is going to be coming across. Okay, we're going to use the Saheeli here, make this servo a Arclight Phoenix.
Ooh, small misstep here from Russell Lee. So you can target any of the servos because Arclight Phoenix has haste. So you actually have chosen one of the summoning sick ones and got another point of damage in. A very small misstep. So
it happens. It's paper magic. We've seen it already once today where, opponent dead on board and just forgot to animate their Mutavault and get the lethal damage in. Didn't matter at the end of the day, and I'm pretty sure this one won't matter. The size of the board for Russell, the amount of cards in hand versus Chris just top decking here needs a very good one. I didn't get a good look at
Unlucky Witness, I think.
Oh, that's without a way to sacrifice it. Not going to be the best, but we're going to play it. It can block the server, I guess.
Totally.
Let's have a... Do we have any way of getting lethal this turn? Well, we're tapping the Hall of Storm Giants, but then maybe we're going to think, oh, no, this could be an attacker.
3/6. Well, if last turn we had done the thing, we would have lethal this turn potentially. But now we are going to draw 3 cards and drown our sorrows in that. So I think we just hit a bunch of lands off the draw. Yeah. That does happen to you sometimes.
Especially when you're drawing so many cards for your deck, it is going to happen. But remember, every single spell we cast generates another servo. Here comes another one. Consider, do you want this graveyard? Do you want it on top? Do you want to draw it? We're going to draw it. Turning and burning. Still got a land drop for the turn, I believe. Here comes a sleight of hand. Another servo. Look at the top 2. That's 2 lands. Nice and easy. 1 to the bottom, 1 to hand. Can we work out a line to get lethal this turn? We don't want to give Chris any more draws than we have to, especially when this potentially is a winning in for the top 8 of this 10K Pioneer event here at the NRG Series.
So Russell figured it out this time. So now we have 2 Phoenixes and 4 servers on the ground.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6 in the air. Not lethal, just getting in.
I love this. don't give, like, you could push 3 damage, kill the Unlucky Witness, and give Chris 2 looks at the top of the deck. You're not exactly sure what Chris might have, especially like we mentioned here. Russell hasn't been playing a ton of Pioneer, might not know exactly what's going on the sideboards, doesn't want to walk into a trap. So don't give him the redraw on that. Just, hey, hit in the air, and the next turn you can win with your attack. Things are going to go pretty badly for you to lose anyways, as it looks like Chris Andersen is dead here. He's got a cat, which can gain a life, but
it's moved to 8. It's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's just dead on board, I believe. But you got to make your plan, battle it out and play it out. We're only moments away from add in a couple more at the end of turn. Doesn't harm yourself either. Ops. No, it's definitely a scry. Get to put that by Chris. It's like, it doesn't matter. Just turn and burn. I'm getting my camera time while I can. You know what I mean? We're only moments away from it. Untap everything. And we are going to have an interview with the winner of this match, ladies and gentlemen. So if you do have any questions for Russell Lee on the right of the screen as he takes us down, advancing to 7-2, get him in the chat so we can ask them what needs to happen there. So we're going to come back to the booth while we do that. We're trying to get all the cameras set up in the background, get them mic'd up so we can ask them the questions. I've got a couple of questions. I'm interested in their opinion on the sleight of hand. I know that you're a super expert on this deck, and especially if it gets you to the PT. So your insight's going to be a lot more on that. Mine probably more on how did they get here, why did they choose it this weekend. Obviously, you say they play a lot of other card games outside of this. Did they have any help coming into this weekend? We'll have a little look see. But unfortunately for Chris, that does knock them out of the top 8, but will generate a load of points to get them on that leaderboard. So maybe while we're waiting, we can get the leaderboard up and have a little look see. Potentially now we've got a bit more of an idea of who's doing well this weekend, how that leaderboard is going to stagger with these points potentially that players can be getting in the top 8. Maybe some people start getting into those coveted last 6 slots with only one more event left to happen in the end of is it end of October, end of November? And November, isn't it? It's Thanksgiving, and that one's going to be happening over in Madison. So we're just working behind the scenes, see if we can get that up on the screen. But I was going to say turning points in that matchup, Mason, but I guess it's going to be the mulligan to 5 with a Brotherhood's End is where I'd kind of hit the pivotal point in that matchup.
Yeah, the matchup's not very good. I think both players played very well, but I think Chris played very well to put himself in the best position he could to win. Just unfortunately, with the Arclight Phoenix deck doesn't have a ton of all the cards that are very good, right? Like we play 1s and 2-ofs, but we play like 10 to 12 cantrips. We play the 4 pieces, the treasure cruises. You just find them a lot, and without any pressure to back up that graveyard hate. Yeah, it was great that we got those 2 Phoenixes. It was pivotal for making the game go that long, but it wasn't enough to really close the door because we didn't have that pressure, which is in due part to the Moldify, but also the matchup generally, right? Like you have a bunch of cheap creatures that attack for 1. Well, that doesn't really matter that much in the context of pressuring your opponent quickly, which is why some players prefer the Rakdos mid-range deck to the Rakdos sacrifice deck, because in the early game, you actually back up your hate and your disruption with strong creatures like Bloodtithe Harvester, Bonecrusher Giant.
So one for me, is there any cards you'd like to see printed into Pioneer?
Oh, I'll think about that one as we go and talk to Russell as he is ready. You and I can do that between rounds.
So yeah, let's get down to Russell. Let's go see if he's fully mic'd up and introduce ourselves. So here he is. Congratulations, Michael. That is definitely not your name on the screen, but don't worry about it. Congratulations on going 7-2. Potentially we think you're very close, if not locked for top 8. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the way that today went. It's funny, we actually went drinking last night, and after my round 1, I threw up in the bathroom. So it was tough. It was tough.
Okay, so you've had an uphill battle all the way through. Me, Mason, we're just going to throw you some questions. So Mason, first question.
Yeah, so I know you and I spoke in round 2. You said you're feeling good. You hadn't played much Pioneer in the last 6 months. You kind of came in and played this deck. How are you feeling about the deck's position after playing all day? Obviously, you won a lot, so you can't be that upset. But is there anything you wish you changed about your deck? Anything you would do different if you could start today over?
Honestly, I think I got my list and sideboard guide from Ben Jones. He only
fellow Brit.
Yeah, he plays Phoenix, and he's really good. And basically, I just trusted him, took his stuff, and you asked me earlier if Prankster or Picklock Prankster was better than Pieces, and I will say now, like, no. Yeah, Pieces is the way to go. Yeah.
You mentioned Ben Jones there, an absolute tear in the European circuit. Yeah. Always plays Phoenix, does super well. But that's a really good person to kind of take the deck list from. it's also his Sideboard that comes along with it, putting up great numbers. Is there any cards that you tried for this weekend off your own back? Everyone loves taking the 75 and thinking that they can add an extra 1 or 2 cards to make the deck list better. Did you try that, or you just went straight up 75? I know, I trusted what Ben's doing and going forward.
No, I did not try anything. Just full trust Ben. I've copied his decks before. He's giving me some stuff, so I always just trust him. He's good. He's great.
That one.
Yeah.
Nice. So are you gunning for this NRG championship? If you win 3 more matches, Russell, you're into the $25,000 end of the year invite only tournament. Is that on the back of your mind, or is it one game at a time right now?
Well, I just found out about that 2 seconds ago from you, so now it will
giddy up, cowboy. You got 3 matches to go.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's always just one game at a time, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
That's a smart approach to things. So I guess I'm going to have to end on the question everybody wants to know. What is your drink of choice?
Vodka with sugar-free Red Bull. That's the way.
Strong.
Save the calories. Yeah, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I suppose you're 3 more games away from being able to have quite a few of them tonight to celebrate a victory. So good luck. Hopefully you get in that top 8, and hopefully we see more of you in the top 8. Make sure you go have some rest and get some water down you, because it sounds like you've had a long day.
Yeah, I won't be drinking. That's for sure.
All right. So thank you very much for that interview. We're going to head back to the booth with me and Mason. And if you just tune in, that's basically. Do we have a backup feature match? Let's probably ask that question before we.
We do. Yep.
We do. Okay, 6. So that's not going to be end of round number 9. We definitely have one more game for you, and that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see more Magic. So Mason, who are we going to see, and what decks are they playing?
We have the Academic Fires Mirror going on, Will.
Oh, no.
We have Derek Davis, and we have Charles Ealer. I hope I'm saying your name correctly there, Charles, in the Mirror match. And so also notably here, Derek Davis probably for sure in with a win. Maybe even a 100% sure, but probably has to win. Charles probably in with a win if Derek was. Definitely both players are not in if Charles will not make it if there's a draw again. So these players are going to play quickly because this match can take a long time. We saw earlier, and we've been seeing Derek Davis all weekend here as someone who made the finals of Pro Tour Phyrexia all be1 playing this deck and played our Players Championship last year off the back of winning one of these late events and is en route to do it again.
Yeah, as I say, we're going to have to strap ourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. This could be a very long match between both these players. This one, I would say, draw play dependent, not so much of an impact in this one because we were going to try and get to the mid to late game, see who can I'm looking through the deck list to see if anyone's got any sort of like deal breaker cards. The main one I look at is Elish Norn, and if potentially whoever gets that on the battlefield first is going to be able to take this down. Do you agree with that?
That card is going to be a high impact card. All the removal spells are going to double. The opponents are going to get turned off, and all these creatures are not going to be going to other places. Also worth noting, look, the companions are not the same there, Will. We have Yorion from Derek, which is, if we get to the mid game, is going to provide a ton of value. Charles, if the board is stalled, will get more value with Karuga, but not necessarily guaranteed to get it. Also has some cards like Temporary Lockdown that are very low impact. They can line up well at removing things like Chain to the Rocks, which are used on your creatures, but there aren't a ton of creatures that, are going to be in that position. So Charles probably really wants one of those on turn 19, not really interested on turn 3.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Kruger's decks. Got quite a lot of like cards that can be pretty impactful in this and stop a lot of board states, but we'll see if that pans out that way. As we see a Fable the Mirror Breaker come down, going to bring it along a Goblin Shaman token. It's going to eat a Leyline Binding end of turn here.
Yep. And this is a thing about this deck, right? Is Charles's deck is a Karuga Fires deck. Like, it needs Fires of Invention to be doing its most powerful stuff because it has so many big cards. And by the way, talking about cards that are important, Elish Norn hits the battlefield. That is one of the big ones. Derek Davis's deck is much more of this combo interlocking some of our parts deck. So while it does like having Fires, it doesn't need it the same way Charles does to actually do incredibly strong stuff against the other decks in the format.
Isn't that just like what do we do? What do we do with Elish Norn on the other side? Our deck's turned off, right? Am I missing something here?
I am unsure how Glasspool Mimic interacts. I think that might actually only be our creatures. It is only our creatures. Sorry, that's not like a phantasmal image. I mean, honestly, it looks like we might be on some Atraxa stuff. We've got to get like that on the board. Get our own Elishnorn as a way to sort of lock each other out. We can Ignamic Incarnation in order to find the Atraxa with a Leyline Binding, etc. But we're not guaranteed to really actually have a way to answer it because all of our removal spells are dependent on entering the battlefield.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough, gonna be uphill battle. I'd say that is the trump card in this matchup. But Derek doesn't get to top 8 Pro Tours on the back of a whim. Knows how to pilot this deck. Knows what they need to do to get out in front and get back into this matchup. And we're gonna start this off with a untapped breeding pool, and we're just gonna play creatures. Just get them on the battlefield. Maybe this is the way that we're gonna go. As we see, Moon Blessed Cleric hitting the battlefield. Just as a simple 3/2.
Yeah, and this is what I meant. Charles' deck kind of needs fires to do a lot of things. Otherwise, he's going to do one big thing a turn. Like this Karuga that gets double ETB, so he draws 6 cards.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Oof. That's so rough. It's so brutal. Okay, maybe decking's a thing. Maybe that's the out for Derek on left your screen.
I mean, Derek is plus 20 cards with the Yorion, so we're already ahead before the Karuga.
It's a game plan. It's a game plan.
Yeah,
it might not be a good one, but we're getting there.
I think it's pretty reasonable. I like that Derek did play those 2 bodies, by the way. That's just honestly making it so that Elishnorn can't attack. And the longer the game goes, the more likely you are to stall out and find your Atraxa, which is one of the few cards that might be able to actually break through this. You also can flip your Fables. Yeah, Derek's just going to concede because he knows how important time is in this matchup, and he's down so much right now after that draw 6.
Looking at the deck list, which we're about to be able to get up on the screen for you, I guess Otawara was probably an out there to bounce it for a turn and maybe get some sort of big flip here. But we're going to start off on Charles's side. We've got a lot going on in this sideboard. Let me just get it up on my screen for you. So we've got Rending Volleys, we've got Mystical Disputes, we've got Alpine Moons, we've got Archons, we've got Hanged Executioner. I don't even know if I know what that one does.
Hanged Executioner. That's all Derek Davis's sideboard.
Is that Derek's? I've got up.
Yes, you're all good. But for Charles, we have 3 Leyline of the Void, 3 Mystical Dispute, 3 Unmoored Ego, 2 Supreme Verdict, an Urtai, an Obstinate Baloth, a Karuga, and a Temporary Lockdown. There's a lot of different directions these players could go. A Supreme Verdict might actually be a card that you want in case your opponent gets their own Elishnorn down as a one-of, as kind of this oops, I win button. You could also maybe try to do Unmoored Ego to remove the fires, or remove bindings, or remove Elishnorns. There's a lot of different things. Typically, you don't want those in fair matchups, but this might be sort of the exception that proves the rule. Unsure exactly how Charles wants to approach it, because I think there are a lot of very legitimate, valid ways, including just bringing in a couple Mystical Disputes. Everyone's trying to play these big, clunky cards. Let's just dispute them.
What about like Ego? What's your thoughts on that? Is this a card that gets sideboarded too often in people's decks, or is this like the matchup for it because there's potentially another Elishnorn on the other side of the battlefield?
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a good way to maybe go after the binding, the Elishnorn. Typically, I think these are better against decks that rely on one specific card. So, for example, Lotus Field. If you have a namesake card, getting it out of the deck typically makes the deck not work. Ignamic Fire is a little different, but it is still pretty good, and I could see Charles playing it that way. I don't think that would be my quick go-to, but Charles is the one who's in the winning position, probably played a lot of this deck, so it isn't the most unreasonable plan in the world.
All right, now let's go across to the other Fires deck that we've got now. Get the sideboard going. So we do have Rending Volleys, Mystical Disputes, Alpine Moons, Archons, Hanging Executioners. Obviously, we've got the Orion, then we've got the Rest in Pieces and the Temporary Lockdowns. Anything you like here?
Yeah, so there's a couple of cards that kind of jump out to me. The first one is, I think these Mystical Disputes maybe are actually kind of good, just like countering the fires because everyone's trying to slam them. It might be too small ball and not actually good enough. Archon Familiar is a good way to undo Fires Intervention. If your opponent plays a Fires and you have Archon in play, well, they only get 1 free spell a turn, basically the same as tapping their mana. And while there are some things that can still benefit from that untapped mana, I think that's going to be our big go-to thing. But overall, not a ton of cards, as this is not a super powerful not a super popular matchup, excuse me there. And so with that in mind, Derek Davis doesn't have a ton for it, and probably just going to, run back mostly the exact same main deck with it, maybe some small adjustments.
Interesting. So that's game number 1. Let's get down to game number 2. Well, I remind you that this is where we're going to find out the last players going into our top 8. We started today with 227 players, 1 over the threshold to get to 9 rounds. And they've all been battling it out today. And now we're here. The last round when we find out the top 8. We'll announce that to you. We'll see them battling out, but only one person is going to be walking away this weekend, calling himself a champion. As both players kind of off to the races, a couple of land each and a Fable the Mirror Breaker each. Both got Goblin Shaman tokens. Obviously, Derek one is far superior because it is the NRG one that they from the team series a little while ago. I think it's really nice when you can win your own sort of like custom tokens being made. Ever had a custom token made about yourself?
Yes, yeah, I've had one made from Inkland tokens before, and have one coming for my podcast. So it's pretty cool.
Sick. What was the token?
It was a clueless clue token where I'm kind of questioning some stuff.
Okay, cool. Kind of like what you're doing now when every time I ask you a question, got you.
Exactly. I'm like, what's he talking about? And then I try to cover it.
What's this weird British guy talking about in that weird accent again?
This reminds me of Doctor
Who. Hey, on point this weekend, on point. Exactly. It's going to come across Goblin Shaman token, not going to be blocked. It's going to generate a treasure token. Give us the slight mana advantage here, making we can go up to 5 mana this turn. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to slam down a... Oh, okay. Now you got me. That is the Cavalier of Dawn. And it's the battlefield. Destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a free golem artifact creature token. When Cavalier dies, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, I got it. It's all a big 4/6 with vigilance, so that helps as well on the screen for everybody at home to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a big card. Something that does get turned off from things like Elishnorn, as it does look like we actually discard our own Cavalier and our own Golos.
Do you like Golos? It's one of my favorite cards that have been printed in more recent times. We're going to follow up another Fable the Mirror Breaker is going to come down. Maybe that's a way to kind of break this format if we or break this matchup if you have 2 of them flipped and just able to generate so many 2/2s.
Yeah, I think if you're sort of at parity, that is a great way to slam the door on your opponent.
Derek's got a lot of options here. How do you want to move forward? Starting off with 2 mana. Have a little think about it. Okay, it's just going to draw a card, get some extra colored mana. Nalia's Presence. Quite nice because it makes Leyline's Binding cost 1 because now that land is going to be all basic land types. But now how do we move forward from here? Combat is the way we're going to move forward. Swing across with both. Going to block here. We need that treasure token because it's just going to get chumped up by the free golem that's on the battlefield. And Skyclaves.
Yeah, that's a great way to sort of answer a Fable, and I love this from Derek. He answers the one that hasn't looted yet because he has Fable plus Skyclave or Fable plus Cavalier starting next turn to answer all these sort of problematic cards, and he just doesn't want Charles to draw out of it. He's like, okay, flip your Fable. I don't care. Just do not draw into more cards that are powerful enough to interact with these cards.
Yeah, with untapping with that, the Kiki on the other side of the battlefield with multiple different creatures that all have really good ETBs. It's going to be pretty hard for Charles to get around that, but something like an Elishnorn would really help with that. But when you tap in 4 mana, I'm having a little look. Is it going to be a fires? It is a fires that's going to come down. Oh my word. Oh no. Okay, so it is a fires with a 5th land drop into an Elishnorn. Just going to double check. There is only 1 in the deck, and we're seeing both games. Never didn't have it.
Yeah, I wonder if Charles almost kept his hand because the Yorion in the format either is the combo deck we saw Pipe of Pal play or this deck. I wonder if Charles was like, well, both those decks can't beat an Elishnorn. I'm going to keep, and then game 2 mulligan towards it. We didn't get to actually see the mulligans here in this time shifted match, but wouldn't it be the most surprising thing I've seen is Charles, we talked about it before. Derek conceded a little early, has a couple outs, things like Odawar to balance it and then do some things, but for the most part is pretty behind to discard.
Yeah, Derek's definitely in the tanks. Like, okay, right, how do I deal with that? I saw it game 1. I know about it in the deck, so I must have brought in some sort of sideboard cards to deal with it. Odawar is the main one that's pointing out to me, but I'm just having a look see again to double check that doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's just going to be hard. This is going to be hard, but this is going to help. Means we can kind of start tutoring through our deck if there is anything we can find. We'll find out just like everybody at home.
Yep. Derek's taking a second here. Like we talked about, he plays his deck a lot. He knows it the best of anyone that I know, at least, and probably just going to go for the biggest body you can find. This is where cards like Coma really come in. Not really good in mini matchups, even against like Rakdos. Sometimes it just dies. It can be a big haymaker, but not anything here. And we're going to copy Fable.
So that's going to come in. That's cool. Gives us other way. So the chat's mentioning that this is what the Hanged Executioner is for. As a bit of a deal breaker.
Well,
so we're seeing on the other side, Nicobolus come down. I haven't seen this since Standard. 4/4 has the ETB of your opponent discarding a card. Leyline's Binding. Jeez, we got everything. Remember, Leyline's Binding is going to be able to target 2 different things because there's an additional on the battlefield. One of the, if not just turning off all your opponent's deck is good. How about giving double triggers on all your stuff also just as good? We're going to come.
Well, hang on. Why didn't we get the Did we not bring in the Hanged Executioner? Because I went and looked up the card. If you don't know, basically a 3-mana 1/1 makes another spirit, and you can sack this card to. You can sacrifice this card to exile another creature.
Yeah, maybe. I don't actually know. I imagine if it's in the deck, we would have got it. Maybe we didn't have enough to activate, and we're trying to save it for a turn we can get it and then activate it.
No, that makes sense. Oh yeah, so it must be in hand, or just we're hiding it out till we get the lands. That makes sense. Okay, I forgot how much mana this is. I thought about it. We're good. As it does look like Derek instantly doing this, which would mean Hanged Executioner, like we were just talking about. See, this is why Derek's over here, top 8 in Pro Tours, about to top 8 our tournament. Things keep going this way.
Yeah, clearly master deck, knows about it. Obviously, it's probably lost Stylish Norn a few times, so knows his ways out of it.
I love when cards do this, by the way. Where there's like some card, it's so backbreaking for your deck has a toolbox, and you find cards like Hanged Executioner, which are just the perfect answer.
Oh, you're talking to a Yawgmoth player, my friend. I love little toolbox decks. I'm all about that. I'm Birthing Pod. What? And now we're going to untap.
What indeed?
Either that or give me probe back. That's what I'm saying. Land for the turn. 3 mana. Put my companion into hand. Kruger, play it. Try to draw a lot of cards. In response. Oh no, that's great. So people don't know what that is. I'm just going to find out. I know exactly what it is if I can find
the Spirit Realm.
Thank you. There you go. Spirit Realm. It has the channel ability on it, where you can discard it to flicker one of your creatures or artifacts. We flicker it in response. It comes back. Derek's only got 1 out to that. GG's. Congratulations, Charles, on the main screen. Advances to 7-1-1. Believe that locks him up for that top 8. Derek drops to 7-2. That's still not an outside chance of getting in that top 8. It might not be the last we see him. All those 2 players playing against each other. We'll find out, because that is going to be the end of round number 9. So we're going to be doing all the tiebreaker math. As soon as the end finishes, we're going to find out who these 8 players are, and we're going to be able to bring it all live too. So make sure you don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a lot of magic left to go. But maybe you want to start playing in some of these events moving forward. There is going to be 1 more left for the end of the year. It is going to be in Madison. We'll see if we can get the slide up for everybody at home so you can find out the dates. Like on cue, it is November 25th and 26th. On the Saturday, there is going to be a 10K Modern Showdown, where we'll be able to, whoever wins that, they're going to get themselves an invite to the end of the year player championships that you see us talking about all weekend long. And then on the Sunday, how about a 5K Pioneer trial? A little chaser for you there for all you Pioneer fans, especially as we get closer to the RC of the United States of America. But we keep talking about this end of player championships, don't we, Mason? We've got 8 players locked in for it, but we need 8 more players for it, and one of them is going to be crowned today. Let's go through the 8 players that are already locked in for that tournament and see the 8 spaces that are still left to be filled and how they can be filled. There's going to be 1 more from today, 1 more from Manson, and then there's 6 slots open. Here's the slide on you for you. Here's the 8 players. Talk me through it.
Yeah, so as we went over before, Raja Suleiman's our 2022 NRG champion. He won the last one of these. He's back. Steven Dykeman won our first event weekend, both events. He is there. Also, currently in first place for Player of the Year. Player of the Year isn't just a title, which, it is that, but it's also free entry into all the NRG events for the next year. So there's a lot of monetary value on the line there between, getting to play all the events, going to the championship. Very exciting stuff for Dykeman. We're going to see how he finishes up with that. Daniel Weiser went and played in one of our tournaments, won it playing Control and Pioneer. Congrats to him. Matthew Hoey won with Rhinos and Modern and is back on the NRG Championship. Played all of our events except one. He is back at it. Grayson, Matthew, and Eric, they played a team tournament. They all won together. Congratulations to them. Those three friends are going to be in to the championship, and you have to guess they're going to test together, or at least two of them are. Then it's going to be an awkward dinner for the third. And then Kyle Gonzalez is our last one in what I call our ghost champion. We unfortunately weren't able to broadcast that tournament. So maybe you're like, wait, when did Kyle join? That was last month in Michigan. Unfortunately, we couldn't stream that event, but we did do some text coverage if you're interested in that. But tomorrow morning, we're going to crown our champion. Tonight, we are still going to play the quarters and the semifinals of the NRG. It's not going to be over just yet, so don't worry. But we won't know the exact next person to join us until tomorrow morning. So you're going to tune in bright and early for that.
Nice. That is going to be nice. And then we got one more event where we're going to have one more winner for that. Then 6 more slots for the top 6 players on the leaderboard. You've been speaking about points all weekend long and how important they are. If we can get that up on the screen for you, we can see how close it is. When it gets down to that kind of second bracket there around the 60s, you see it's not much between them all. If we stop the count right now, all the way down to 9th place would be locked for it. Talk me through this, Mason.
Yeah, so like you just said there, basically 9th place and up are all qualified as the 6 at large. If your name's in orange, it means you're already qualified. So Stephen, Kyle, Raja, players we already talked about, they are already made it. It looks like Kyle's going to probably make it, regardless of actually winning, even if they lost in the finals. But it's always nice to lock it up. And if you're one of those people at large, if you're not rooting for yourself to win, you're rooting for one of the people above you to win, because then now you've essentially moved up a spot. So this is a huge weekend for Cliff Boyardee. We saw them lose to Piper Powell last round. That's going to put them in an awkward position where they can still have a good finish, but not anything over the moon. Ryan Hayes is sort of, climbing up points and trying to lock up his spot. Chris Smith, basically a hard lock for making the event now after none of these players top 8 this weekend. Not 100%, but pretty close to it. We talked a little about Sean, Casey, Theo, and Travis earlier in the broadcast. I want to bring up A. Adams, right below Theo and Travis when it comes to the points. They've done a really good job. They top 8 some of our early Pioneer events at the start of the year and have consistently just, pecked away at the leaderboard, putting up solid finishes, doing that. And that is a great way to make the championship. If you get 1 or 2 top 8s and you just top 16 every other event, you're most likely just going to make it. Consistency is paid off here on the NRG series.
Yeah, that's why I get so jealous in Europe, just seeing across the pond that you will have these awesome series events that you can go to every month, grind them out, and you don't always have to win, but just hitting up a consistent amount of good finishes can get you to an awesome invite-only tournament like the Players Championship. But that is it for round number 9, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back shortly with the top 8 announcement, telling you who is in that top 8, and then we can start seeing them battle it out. So make sure you don't go anywhere. You stick around, go get yourself some coffee, and we'll see you super, super shortly.